Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of High Level Play. I am your confidant in video game and film for this particular episode. My name is Decker49, but you can call me Ricky if you wish. My co-host today, as usual, is...
Kirkus, Menurcus. How's it going, guys?
The man from the circus. We won't discuss why they put you in there in the first instance.
No,
because that, you know...
I'll stay clear of that one.
Elephant man. No, I'm only joking. Kirk, how are you, mate? What have you been up to recently?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Nice to hear from you too, mate. Yeah, I've just been playing a few games lately.
Watched
different
a few
ones.
films?
I've watched a couple of films.
I might even venture you've read a few books.
I wouldn't go that far, mate.
Okay, we'll leave that up to me.
Okay.
So I guess what we can do is we'll cut it in our usual way. We can do what you've been playing, what you've been watching, like what have you been what you been up to, mate? You start off. Hit me up.
You want me to start off first?
Go.
Well, I managed to hire the Duke Nukem game the other day.
Ooh, I bought it.
You brought it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Silly sausage. What a crap game that is, mate.
Not good.
It is a pile of poo.
Not good.
After
1 out of 5, is that what you're saying?
How many years does it make?
97, 14 years in the making.
Years.
The entire new Star Wars trilogy, all of the Harry Potter books, the development cycle has taken longer than World War II.
That is crazy.
Which is quite interesting. So you give me your impressions, and then I'll give you mine.
Okay. Well, the original Duke Nukem games I wasn't too familiar with, to be honest with you.
Did you play 3D? That was the big one.
And to be honest with you, I think I've played it once, and I can vaguely remember what it was like, but at the time I didn't really play it that much. That's what I'm trying to say. But I thought, well, this game's been in development for that long, it must be good, and I've heard a lot of people telling me about it, so I thought I'll go out and rent it first before I buy it, and I'm glad I did. God. It's so terrible.
When it boots up, what's your first impression?
Well, first part of the game, you're in like a football stadium against this huge bot. I thought, this is quite cool, this. I can see why people are getting excited about this game, and then next thing you know, you finish the boss, and it turns out you're playing a computer game, and then it all sort of like goes downhill from there. So
hang on. You've missed out the most important point of that reveal, because as the screen pulls back and you realise that Duke's holding a 360 controller, you also observe something else as well,
which
you started, brother.
Oh wait, well he said well, it was a good game. It has to be. It's been 14 years in the making. A little nod to how slow and crap they've made the recent game.
And then a little head emerges into.
Oh yeah.
And lips are wiped.
Yeah, two twins. Yeah. Well,
so they're supposed to be the Olsen twins, actually.
Yeah.
They called them something else slightly different, but I guess that's one of the major complaints about this game, mate. Is it's very misogynistic. Like, it's very. Women are sexual objects, and there's a couple of examples, and some of them get a little bit close to the bone, particularly in the alien hive.
Yeah, I found that a bit strange, to be honest. Yeah, what the hell's that about? Like,
it was a little bit odd, and I get, when people talk about this game, and I bought it not because I was expecting to play a good game, but because I wanted to have that particular piece of history and just have it at my leisure, because I considered renting it, but I'd have to give it back within a couple of days, and I just wanted to spend a little bit of time with the game and just try and figure out. Do you know when you cut down a tree, you can see all of the rings. Yeah, and the rings tell you like what year, like, and they do a famous thing where they cut down a really big tree and they say, on this ring it was 1804 and fucking Darth Vader was born, or whatever. I wanted to see, like, I played games for a long time. I wanted to see if I could actually observe game design moving forward.
But like didn't you say there was something about you can tell that there was no what am I trying to say, nothing above 2004, was it?
Well, there's no quotes, and this is another thing. Duke Nukem 3D was really interesting for the time, and this kind of feeds into what happened with this game, because Duke Nukem 3D came out at a time when every game was kind of like Quake, and it was like shoot the monster, it's gore, It's grey brown corridor, and then Duke Nukem 3D came along, and it was colourful, and he talked. None of these games, they talk. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's like, come get some. I'd buy that for $1, and waving $10 bills at whores and stuff.
That's what I noticed though. There's like references from 80s movies.
Yeah,
all the way through
there's a lot
film.
of that shit. But at the time, in '96 or '97, when Duke Nukem 3D came out,
Yeah.
that was clever.
Yeah, I can see
Like,
because it hasn't been done before, has it?
14 years later, that's not so clever. Like, that's not really a thing anymore. But one of the interesting things about watching the game is seeing that 10 to 14 years, and you notice things crop up like fucking jump pads. So like, jump pads turned up in Quake, and these guys were like, oh my god, we got to put jump pads in. And that's one of the things about how this game was developed, in my opinion, is that from any report that I hear, the development team saw something, because Duke Nukem 3D was so hot when it came off the press.
Yeah.
They thought our next game has to be like super hot, man, super fly. So anytime another game came out which did something which was better, or they perceived to be more progressive than what they were doing, they kind of said, well, we want it in our game.
So they've pinched ideas from lots of different games, really.
But then, if you've got loads and loads of different ideas, you need to spend some time making, if you've got loads of different ingredients, you need to bake the cake. Like, you need to spend time fucking cooking. And what they did, and the major flaw, was they never got to a point where they were happy with what they had.
So it's more or less a Frankenstein game, really.
Yeah,
isn't it?
they kept going back to the drawing. No, that's exactly it. That's perfect, Kirk. It's a fucking Frankenstein game. Because you can look at the game and you can see time periods. Do you know what I mean? Like, I did the last boss today, and I think the last boss, I think they made it. I think Gearbox, the most recent developer who published it, I think they made it because it was the best looking part of the entire game.
The very last sequence of the game.
Yeah, the very last sequence. And, don't get me wrong, the game is ugly. It's
foul.
It's ugly. It's not, but it's not necessarily low resolution graphics, and it's not that it looks poor necessarily, but it's just an ugly brown game.
Well,
I
found that in the first part, in the football stage, I thought the graphics on that was quite good, but as soon as you went back to the mansion again, it seemed to change again. Like, especially when you went into the bathroom or whatever, and you could see the dude in the mirror.
Yeah.
It's like, do you know what I mean? It just didn't look next gen to me anyway.
I'll tell you what's interesting. I think one of the worst things which happened to this game is putting it in the Unreal Engine. Do you know the Gears of War engine?
Yeah.
Because if you look at footage of the football field, even a couple of years ago, it's not in the Unreal Engine. And it's kind of vibrant. The grass is really green and stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things about the Unreal Engine is it puts a lot of kind of gloss on stuff. Do you know what I mean? It looks really glossy, like really garish in some respects.
Yeah.
And Duke Nukem Forever looks really, really garish. But what I'm going to say here, mate, is I don't think that's as bad a game as everyone is making out.
No?
No.
So what would you give it out of 10 then?
I'd give it 5.
5.
I'd give it 5 out of 10. And I think towards the end, once you get out of the underground sort of disgusting dirt sequences, it actually starts to become a little bit better. And I might even venture to say towards the end of the game, there are some encounters which are reasonably interesting. They put you in a room or a series of rooms, and there's a certain amount of enemies. And it's kind of like that, like that Halo thing where it's like, well, what weapon do I use to kill this particular person?
Yeah.
And it has a little bit of that.
Cool.
Not a good game by any means, but I don't think it's as bad a game as most people are making it out to be. I know you kind of get used to Duke. So, in essence, I guess, Duke is a fucking dinosaur, and he's a misogynistic, dirty cunt. And I think they probably could have done a lot better if they didn't start the game out as if he was the king of the world.
Which he probably was at the time when they
started.
started.
If they started the game out like everyone had forgotten him, and as the game progressed, he started to become, the guy, the man with a plan, maybe that would have been a little bit better. I don't know, but,
Well, I'd score it about a 3 out of 10, to be honest with you.
Didn't see the entire game. Your ignorance speaks volumes.
I got about 60% through the game, and that was enough for me, honestly. I'll tell you how bad it was for me. I rented it for 5 days. I took it back on the 3rd.
Fuck you and fuck your crew. Fuck you too. Okay.
So I want to ask you, what have you been playing lately as well?
Okay.
As well as Duke Nukem.
I will tell you the game that is really excited me the most, and it's unfortunate because it's also a game that came out when Duke Nukem 3D came out, which is quite amusing. And it's Zelda: Ocarina of Time 3D on the 3DS. Now, I will confess to you, Kirkus, because you know I'm a bit of a hardware whore.
Yes.
And I've bought pretty much everything. I bought the Kinect, and my missus plays Dance Central a reasonable amount. I don't touch it. I bought the 3DS. I played fucking Pilot Wings Resort or Pilot Resort or some crazy fucking bullshit.
And it was
yeah. No. And I also bought Street Fighter 4 on the 3DS. I don't know what made me do that, man.
No.
But Zelda Ocarina of Time. They recut it. They did. It's not HD because of the way the screen does. It's it's not a HD screen, but they redid all of the graphics, all of the resolution, and
I believe now that the faces aren't square or blocky.
There are actual faces.
Yeah, cool.
It's not like looking into some strange mathematician's mind where it's like there's 4 triangles. Is that a face? Is that what's going on here? No. They've really done a really good job of remodeling the characters, and the way the game plays was there was kind of big 3D environments which you could run through, but there was also kind of static 2D environments. You know, like Resident Evil 1.
Yeah.
Where they were kind of smaller environments which you would run through, and they were always the environments which looked a lot shitter. And what they've done in this game is they've modelled them in 3D. And, just talking about the 3D is good, man. The 3D pops. And I think one of the reasons that the 3D is so good is because, this is a 3D game. This is one of the pioneering 3D games.
It's what the Game Boy was made for, mate.
Nintendo in Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time pretty much set out most of the core tenets of how 3D games worked. Like, even to now, they've refined it a lot, but the mechanisms were there. And, I don't need to talk about it too much because everyone's played Ocarina of Time. Everyone's played Zelda. It's a fucking ultimate classic, man.
It was just an epic game, mate. The original was, anyway. I haven't seen the game that you're talking about on the current generation, but in its day, Ocarina of Time, that was just epic. It was brilliant, man.
Pulling out the Master Sword for the first time.
Oh, it's wicked, man. Wicked.
It was like pulling out your cock to have your first fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, just epic feeling of win.
Win.
I'm about to do something monumental with the equipment I have in my hand.
Okay, carry on.
So, okay, if I had to talk about a couple of flaws, basically, the 3D is really cool, but with the 3DS, anytime I've played a game for more than about 40 minutes with the 3D on, my eyes start to hurt a little bit.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about, because a lot of people have complained about that.
So, the beauty of the 3DS, if you can put the slider up and down, and generally about halfway or slightly under halfway is a sweet point. But, after about 40 minutes, your eyes are still going to hurt. And, one of the things as well is, because the screen is so small, relative to a 42-inch HD TV, sometimes if you're in a particular area...
Is this call's ended, mate? Hang on.
I can still hear you, mate.
Call and... Oh, no, yeah, sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay. All right, 3, 2, 1. One of the other things is that when you're in certain environments where Link is quite small, because it's on a portable screen rather than a TV screen, you can notice that it looks a little bit too small.
Right.
But you know, those are small trade-offs for
That's easy to get over. That is, though, isn't it?
that's well easy. So what I do is, if I go into a place where it's not, it's not like the Hyrule Field, it's not the 3D environment, I just switch the 3D off for that particular bit, and then when I get into another environment, a proper 3D environment, I just put it on again. It's not a big deal. And that game is fucking epic, man.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I've really been enjoying that. It's been a lot of fucking fun. Like, I'm about 4 hours in, and I guarantee I'll be 40 hours in a couple of weeks. So I'll keep you updated about that. So
yeah, you'll have to, mate. Definitely.
All right, your turn. Hit me up.
What have I been playing as well as Vanquish?
Vanquish. Now,
Vanquish.
You are, as we fucking talked about earlier, a master gears, a master gearer.
I wouldn't say I was a master. I'm just a massive fan.
You're a gear maker. You're a gear meister. It makes me sound like I'm calling you a massive cokehead. That's not what I'm suggesting. But you basically know your third-person fucking cover-based shooters.
I do enjoy them. I do.
And the interesting thing for me has always been this is quite different in terms of speed to Gears.
Definitely.
I've only got very limited experience, so you tell me. You tell me how it is, mate.
Well, I'm surprised I didn't buy it or rent it or sooner, because it's such a brilliant game. I was really quite surprised. Mm-hmm. But it's very similar to Gears, where you got your cover base, but I mean, the enemies, there's hundreds of enemies at once, and the bosses are huge. The speed difference between Vanquish and Gears 1, 2, it's just different, completely different. It's a lot faster, smoother, and it's just absolutely mental. It's just like Gears on speed.
So does that work for or against the gameplay? Because one of the things I've played a fair amount of Gears, and I'm not terribly good at it, but there's something to be said about how methodical and slow it is. But in Vanquish, you can be 50 meters away in 5 seconds, easy. Like, how does that change up the actual way you play the game from moment to moment?
It literally, from the beginning of the game, you have to get used to it, but as soon as you get used to it, you sort of know what's coming from the bosses. Like, they literally send hundreds of rockets at once, and so you just hold down, I think it's the bumper, one of the bumpers, and you slide along your knees. So you just do that, because the maps are huge, so you just dodging most of the time, and then shooting and covering. Oh, that's really, really good. I really enjoyed that game, and I picked it up at £15, which was a bargain.
That's not too bad at all. That's not too bad at all. So ask me this question, Kurt, because I'm interested about this. One of the things that I think may be compromising a game like that is, in Gears, it's stop and pop, and you have encounters with your enemies. So you get stuck behind a particular barricade or whatever, and you know that you've got 4 or 5 enemies in front of you. Outside of rolling, you're not going to be able to get too far away from your actual cover. No. Whereas in Vanquish, you can zoom wherever you want. Is that better or worse for actually trying to attack your opposition? Can you see what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah, I can see what you're trying to say. It just happens. It's literally mayhem. You just don't really have a chance to think. You're just shooting and then running for your next bit of cover. And then once you get behind cover, that lasts about 10 seconds before that blows up, so you have to find the next piece of cover. It's really on the edge of your seat stuff. It's really good. I really enjoyed it, and it's a different experience to Gears, because Gears, it's a multiplayer, it's online multiplayer, and you can do it cooperative. That's the only downfall of Vanquish. It's a single player experience, and I think if you did it once, completed it once, I don't think it's one of those games you go back to over again. But it's definitely worth what I paid for it anyway. I really enjoyed it. Really, really good game, and the graphics are immense. Fair dues is really good. And I'm just saying, because the guy on Vanquish is the main character, Sam.
Yeah.
His voice is very, very, very similar to Snake off Metal Gear.
Okay.
I'm sure it is.
Well, you give me your best moment so far in the game, and I will take that forward as we speak.
Well, there's one little move you can do. If you're in cover and you're getting shot at by all different directions, you can actually light a cigarette, flick it in the air, and all the robots seem to go for heat signatures, so they all start shooting at your cigarette. So it gives you either time to shoot at them or get to your next cover position.
Nice.
It's just little things like that. It's cool. It's little quirky things like that. I really enjoyed it. It was really good.
That's pretty sweet. And I don't mean to fucking rain on your parade here, but it would appear that the voice actor for the Vanquish main character is called Gideon Emery.
There you go. I knew that, honestly.
And that is not the David Hayter.
No.
Who war never changes.
Snake.
Yeah. So obviously, but I think Kirk, not to do any disjustice. Once your voice gets down to a certain fucking octave, it's difficult to tell who the fuck is who. Do you know what I mean?
I just saw the cigarette smoking and the high testosterone. I just thought it's got to be Snake. It's got to be.
Well, that kind of speaks to something around the Japanese sensibility, doesn't it? And this game was made by Platinum Studios, Platinum Games. The director of creativity here was called Shinji Mikami. Now, Platinum Games, in my opinion, are an amazing developer. They've made Bayonetta.
Yeah.
They also made that game on the Wii, Mad World.
Yes, I enjoyed that. All in black and white, wasn't it? Gory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they've made something else as well, though I can't remember what it is. And Shinji Mikami, interestingly, was the guy who developed Devil May Cry 1.
Right, that was a brilliant.
So with that in mind,
I can see the similarities there between Vanquish and that's jumping around as well, like Devil May Cry 1. That was the same, wasn't it?
Exactly. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to try and answer it as honestly as you can.
Go ahead.
Is there any type of story that makes any type of sense in this game?
The only story I can see, because it starts off with some Russian guy in space who lives on...
Russians attacking a space station.
No, Russians are on the space station. They attack, is it San Francisco? Or somewhere like that. And then the Americans send in, these Marines up to space to attack this floating city in space.
Yes! Yeah. This is exact... Do you know Bayonetta was about... I don't even know what Bayonetta was about, actually. It was about...
I didn't understand that either, mate.
It was... Hang on. Bayonetta was... It was about the Eye of the West or some crazy bullshit like that. Like, when the Eye of the West and the Eye of the East meet... I don't know. But there was just fucking dragons, and she took her clothes off all the time, and her clothes was her hair.
Angels falling from the sky.
Angels falling out of the sky, and she looked like a librarian whore.
It just didn't need to make sense, really, did it? It was just crazy
In
game.
Some ways, it's like Deadly Premonition, mate. In some ways, if it makes sense, it's failed. Do you know what I mean? I just want someone talking to someone in their own head who we don't know whose exists.
I really need to get that game as well, because you spoke so much about it. I just want to see how twisted it is for myself.
Dude, Zach, what do I do, Zach? So give me some final thoughts on Vanquish.
Vanquish, Vanquish. I'd say it's a brilliant game. I definitely recommend someone.
So would you, keeping in mind that it doesn't have any active multiplayer?
No.
And you said you probably wouldn't play through it more than once.
No.
Would you recommend a purchase?
I'd recommend the purchase from. I wouldn't recommend full retail price for it. I'd definitely pick it up for £20 or below. But it's really, really good experience. Probably a weekend play, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
It's really good.
Sweet.
Yeah. So, is there any other games you've been playing or films you've been watching lately, Deckard?
Dude, there's some good stuff that I've been doing. I guess another thing that I've been playing is Child of Eden.
Right. Well, that sounds like a strange game to me. Could you just try and explain it to me?
Well, it's a bit of a Connect game. I don't know if you've heard anything about it. It's made by the guys who made Res HD on the Dreamcast, and it was put out again, that particular game, on XBLA.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, at its core, if you want to break it down to its component parts, it's an on-rail shooter. So you control the icon in the middle of the screen, and you have to highlight and shoot things which occur on the screen.
Right.
Although the things which occur on the screen are kind of fucking crazy. Like, this is it. Have you got any questions about this particular game?
I just want to know what it's about. Do you know what I mean? It sounds like a Connect game, a shooter, but a musical of some sort, like some kind of music aspect to it of some kind. I don't know.
So when the game starts up, it's actually full motion video. You're watching footage of a young girl. She's sort of between 17 and 19, and the way they present it is this girl is called Lumi, and in 2019, she was the first person to be born outside of Earth's gravitational field. So she was born on a space station somewhere that wasn't Earth. It's kind of weird. Like, yeah, is that okay? Is that okay? Well, yeah, we'll buy that. That's got to happen at some point, is it not? That's got to happen at some point.
It's got to happen, yeah.
So, while that might happen, what I'm a little bit more skeptical about is 2,000 years later. Bang. They just jumped 2,000 years. That's okay, fine. I'm still kind of on board. And Lumi's entire identity, all her memories and her emotions and personality and behavior are being archived into some database. It's like, oh, really? That's okay. And I'm not sure what the story is of Earth at this point, but it may be that Earth doesn't exist anymore. I'm not entirely sure. But what they do is they resurrect her into Eden. So the internet is called Eden now. That's the thing. That's a new thing.
Right.
Garden of Eden, obviously biblical reference there.
Yeah.
And they raise her up, and she wants to try and communicate with Earth, even though it's the internet. And my head hurts just trying to think about this. But what happens is she wakes up, and she's like, really nice production value. She's a little girl. She's doing that. That Britney Spears pop thing where she's looking around and she's all earnest and innocent, and everything's all fresh and new for the first time. And then just everything goes west. Like all these black tendrils of fucking shit start coming out of everywhere. So I don't know, maybe it's the Viagra advert, the Viagra spam, or the Nigerian I am a prince, give me 10,000 quid and I'll unlock my $3 million banker's account. But what it seems like is the bad stuff of the internet starts coming out.
Right, so what kind of enemies are you supposed to be shooting up against?
I don't know what they are. They're just fucking mental shapes. They're just mental shapes.
Mental shapes? Okay.
Dude, I can't. There's something vaguely aquatic. It looks kind of sea based.
Right.
You get that there's tentacles and tendrils and stuff like that, but it's kind of sea based. And when it boots up, you start you have to rescue. I call her the internet girl because and you see her flash on the screen every now and again, like in full motion video, like fully, the full actress. She's like, nah! And she's surrounded by shapes which would have made Galileo just shit his pants. Do you know what I mean? So you attack stuff, and it's not necessarily clear that the stuff you're attacking is actually your enemy.
No.
But you have to kind of kill it anyway, and some certain things do attack you, but most of the things are just chilling, and you just fucking destroy them in their own habitat.
So whereabouts is the stage set? Are you in the sea, in space, on the internet, in a spaceship?
So in the first level, I guess is meant to be the internet. There's all these triangles and squares and rectangles, and they come flying into your face, and they're all different colors and shit. And just it makes you want to turn into energy and just evaporate off the earth. If such a thing can be.
I'm trying to get my head around it, but yeah, carry on.
So there's a couple of sequences. There's lots of sequences where you're being pushed through a tunnel in the first level, and you have to shoot stuff. Then there's a second sequence where you're kind of in a massive open environment, and you have to move and when you move the cursor to the top of the screen, it kind of moves your view up. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And you've got things all around you 360, so you have to focus on them and shoot them. And then the third bit after that is you've got an enemy that you need to kill. I say enemy, it's like gigantic lights with triangles flying off it. I don't know, but it's behind a wall, and you have to open the wall by shooting certain bits of the wall that light up. And while that's happening, there's other things flying around the screen, and they shoot at you. And the difference in the mechanic from this to the previous game is that although the main core of the game is for you to flick your cursor over people while you're holding the button down, and then when you let go of the button, you shoot like X amount of people, amount of people at the same time.
Well, you said that it was a Connect game, so how would the controllers work with that then?
You use your hands.
Yeah, how?
So you just
is
wave
it
your
difficult
hands.
to do, or?
It's kind of difficult. I mean, I'm not fully connected up. People say it's the best Connect experience. Maybe I have to recalibrate it because I haven't used the fucking bastard in about 6 months. But you wave your like you swipe your hands over a certain amount of enemies on the screen, and you push that same hand forward to shoot them.
Right.
And then, like I was saying previously, there's certain enemies that you can only shoot with your left hand.
Okay.
So you hold your left hand out, and that is actually like a gun firing. It's like pew 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 pew. Whereas your right hand is painting stuff and then letting go, and then you shoot them.
Right. So you're highlighting your enemies with your right hand and shooting them with your left hand.
Yeah, and your left hand you're actually shooting. You're firing beams, and there's certain enemies, and when enemies shoot projectiles at you, you can only attack the projectiles with your left hand. So the aim of the game basically is to highlight as many creatures, and it's up to 8. So the idea is highlight 8 people every time and then shoot. And if you highlight 8 people at the same time, you get a perfect score and your multiplier goes up 1.
Right.
So if you don't shoot them quickly enough, though, they shoot projectiles, and then you have to do your left hand. And I think when you get your left hand involved, that's when you start killing your multiplier, when you start killing the score.
Just to rack the points up.
Yeah. So if you're getting shot at, immediately by getting shot at, you're being told, "I've not done. You're not doing it properly. You've not done a particularly good thing."
Yeah.
The second level is set under the sea for 3/4 of it. And at the end of all the 3 core sections, you have to fight like this giant translucent whale.
Okay.
So it's kind of, you can see through it, and its body is covered in scales. And to start with, the scales start blue, and then when the scales are going to attack you, they go orange. And you need to shoot the scales when they're orange. And if you don't shoot them quickly enough, they'll shoot you with projectiles. And once you shoot in the scales, they go kind of a green. So the idea is to get everything green. So you shoot the whale for quite a long time, and then it kind of flies off the sea and flies into space.
Okay.
As you do, I know a number of whales who have done this. Not just your country, my friend. And then I can see the earth below me, and I kill. I shoot the whale, I kill it, and it just turns into a giant phoenix, a flying bird made out of fire.
Okay.
And then I turn my Xbox off.
I'm not surprised.
I'm just like, what do you want from me? Like, what do you want? How's a fucking whale turning into a bird which is mythical? Like, what's going on here?
It's hurting my head just listening to it.
I had a headache.
I'm not surprised.
I had a headache, and I've not even touched upon the music stuff. But
so, what would you say out of 10? Would you say about that? What is it?
It's a number that doesn't exist in our mathematical scale out of 10. That's where it is. It's like a shape rather than a number.
10.
A triangle out of 10. That's we give it 2 opposing triangles with a fucking flying whale in the middle out of 10. And we just let the listeners just like make their mind up out of that.
Okay. Well, I've made my mind up. I don't think it's a game for me.
I don't think I can ever play this game again without being the same human being. I reckon I'll have to start referring to myself as Triangle.
The Triangle Man.
Like the Triangle Man.
Cool.
Okay. I'm just... ow.
Ouch.
Ow. Give me something a little bit more conventional that you've been playing, my friend?
Well, I'm a bit excited about the new Skyrim game coming out in November.
Is that not the best title?
Oh
Because
man, I can't wait for that.
you know what Rimmen is. You know what Rimmen someone is, don't you? So like, the fucking Skyrim is. That's a horrible, horrible sexual act.
Well, I'll just. I
You
don't know. You gonna enlighten me, or are you just gonna leave it at that?
I reckon you should Google Rimmen.
Okay, I'll Google that, mate.
Okay. So think about something that's a little bit of a circle,
Right, yeah.
and we'll go from there.
Okay.
So what as you're anticipating Skyrim?
Skyrim.
How have you been anticipating it?
I've just been watching the official trailers for the game, and it just looks immense. Can't wait, because I was a huge fan also of Oblivion, Elder Scrolls, and so I just thought I'd whet my appetite and just have a little blast of that and bring back old memories from 2004, was it?
Did you go back to Oblivion?
I went back to Oblivion and started from level 1 again.
Dude, how many people voice act that game exactly?
About 4?
It's 3.
Was it 3?
It's 3 and a dog.
3 and a dog.
I was given when I played that, I was given the advice you can level up quickly by going to the arena, do you know, at the centre and just doing all those fights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that black dude with a goatee who runs the arena, he's a fucking psychopath. And my favourite line of dialogue in Oblivion. Now Oblivion, medieval mind. So what we're talking, 1100, 1200 BC, AD, something like that.
Yeah.
So, I go out, I'm the blue team, they're the yellow team. They do something which contravenes the rules. And the commentator shouts at the top of his lungs, "The yellow team are pulling a fast one!" Like, is that a phrase they were using in 1152?
No.
Fucking, the medieval knights were pulling a fast one.
They were pulling a fast one.
Like, and just you talk to anyone in that game, it's like, "My name is Elquieth, and my brother is Enquieth. I need you to retrieve 14 badger pelts for me." Like, just, what the fuck? Although, I'm taking the piss. I love that game. I love that game to bits. The only reason I don't have a fucking S rank on that game is because the game's so fucking busted!
It was buggy in it. It was. It really was.
Yeah. I'm not even sure what that means, but...
But, it's,
Tell me, level 1, you started it. What's going on?
Because I did have it on my original Xbox, and I only needed 1 achievement to S rank it, but never mind. I thought I'd try it again, and I don't think I could go through all that again because it's a hell of a long game, and it's like so many hours. But I can see how it's dated in the last few years. It's looking a bit old and a bit tired now, I think.
If I want a game, listen, if I ever want a game where I can walk over a piece of leaf and fly 40 foot in the sky, that's my go-to, man. That's my fucking go-to game.
Which was that? Was that the downloadable content one you're talking about?
No, this was just by the fucking river, man. I just walked over a plant and just went flying 50 foot up into the sky.
Did you?
Like, yeah, because the geometry, the collision detection's all fucked up because it works over so many, so many different levels. But so you've seen Patrick Stewart?
Yeah, I saw him at the beginning of the game.
He's at the beginning of every fucking game. Like, there is a darkness that has emitted itself over the land. It's a time for a warrior. Like, he always says the same fucking thing.
Oh man, I missed that game. I really did. I spent too many hours on that game. Unbelievable. But I agree, it's busted. Like.
Oh, hang on a sec. So what's your what's your favorite moment? What's your favorite moment in Oblivion?
I think at the time it was the fact that you could kill. It was just like the size of the environment that you could just go around exploring.
That was pretty crazy. Just having an entire world open to you.
And another thing I noticed as well, it was really, really stupid, but if you killed an enemy or you dropped something on the floor, you could carry on for a while, and then you could come back to that particular house or particular corridor, and the same object or corpse be still there. And that wasn't really normal for the time for games. I don't think they do that in many games nowadays, because usually you kill someone or you drop something, it disappears when you go out of the room, you come back in it again.
Yeah, I think that's probably like a memory concern, like an in-game memory concern.
I thought that was quite cool, that.
Dude, that game was open to so much. I'm not going to say abuse. I'm going to say amazing creativity. Like, I remember before I had the money to buy a house, I was on some quest with some villager, and he annoyed me, so I killed him in his house.
Yeah.
And then every time I had too much shit and I was about to come on encumbered, I just went to his house and chucked it all on the floor next to his corpse.
Yes.
Like, so there was about 50 swords, like, on this guy's floor. I just abandoned it in the end. Like, I was talking to villagers, and they were like, I wonder where fucking so-and-so's gone. Oh, I don't know, mate. Maybe he's gone on holiday or something. I don't know.
Maybe he's been killed by a hoarder.
Yeah, maybe. It was one of those games as well where they introduced some... BioWare do this more now than Bethesda, but do you know, it was conflicts of interests. Like, I remember being a vampire, and I got on a quest where some guy said to me, I reckon that guy's a vampire, I want you to kill him. And I was kind of like, well... Brotherhood, is that a thing? Like,
yeah.
So I just killed the quest giver, man. He's just getting on my nerves as well. Like, I think this is trend me just fucking killing people annoyed me in the game.
That annoy you, yeah.
Yeah.
I can see how that happens. Yeah, it's cool.
But are you gonna continue with it?
I don't think I am, no, because it's I think it's a big ask, you know, to go through all those. Even though I've done it, if I was new to the game, I think I'd be on it now. But I just, because I've done it all before and it took so much of my life off me, I really haven't got the heart to go through all that again. It takes so long to do.
What do you reckon? If you critical pathed it, if you just went straight down the middle and just didn't fuck around with anything,
yeah.
How long do you think it would take you?
Oh God, still take a long time. I think you've got to be over 30, 40 hours.
You think so? I think 25, 30 hours.
Yeah, I think so. Because, mind you, they did fast track thing, didn't they, on that game? Where you could...
yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to walk to every destination, now that would be a killer.
Although I did choose for a quite large portion of the game to just walk through the land, because I used to love the tune that came on, like as you were walking through the land. Yeah. I can't remember it off the top of my head now. Otherwise, I'd sing it, which would probably be a bad thing for all involved.
Well, another thing I noticed the other day is I stole a horse because I thought
I need a horse.
I need a horse. I need a trusty steed. But I stole a horse, and there's no run button on the horse. It just gallops at its own leisurely pace. I have no way of making it go faster or anything.
Yep. I used to. There's hours of enjoyment of using the horse as something which can break the fall from like a fucking 80-foot cliff.
It was quite funny as well, because I was getting attacked by these camping guys, this guy at a campsite, and so I got off my horse and I must have fired an arrow at the horse instead of one of my enemies.
Yeah.
So I had this crazy horse chasing me for about a mile. It just wouldn't leave me alone. It just kept coming at me, like kicking me and stuff.
You fucking horse killer. I know you've done something similar in Red Dead as well. You fucking shot your horse in the face.
Oh man, yeah, I love that game as well, but that's a different story. But those horses, if you had a horse on that, I think if you killed it, it wouldn't come back. And so if you had one of the downloadable contents, you could get the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Is that right?
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
I didn't realise that. I thought that was fucking. What's that game? What's that other game?
Darksiders.
Darksiders, yeah. I thought that was Darksiders.
No, on the zombie.
Oh yeah. On the zombie Red Dead, yeah, you get the 4 horses of the apocalypse. I thought you were talking about Oblivion. I thought that's a bit.
No. I'm not talking about that, because you said about the horse, me killing my horse. So I had one of those. Never came back again. That's another story.
I need a horse.
I do trust.
So, what, are you done with it now? You wrapped up? Or was that just a taste? You just needed a taste?
I just needed a taste just to see what I'm up against again in November, because I really can't wait for that game.
Okay. Mate, it's going to be awesome.
It's
going to be so good.
Do you know,
like, just dragons randomly, like just like I'm walking down a field, everything's cool. I get attacked by a fucking dragon.
Just randomly, because they
just
said
randomly comes out of the fucking sky.
Be cool, that man. But have they said anything about multiplayer, like cooperative or?
No, I
anything?
haven't heard anything. I don't think that's a thing.
No.
No, I don't think that's a thing. No one's really broken that apart from Borderlands, but Borderlands is a kind of linear experience. Well, regardless of designations of quality, Borderlands is quite kind of a linear experience anyway. Although it's a big area, you're funneled into certain things. Like you have certain things to do, whereas Skyrim and Oblivion and Fallout, it's just like just pick a compass point and just go.
Go there.
Just fucking go, and there will be shit to do there.
There's talking about Borderlands. That Dead Island looks very similar to that, doesn't it?
I've seen some stuff about Dead Island. I don't know too much about it though. Is that something I should be keeping on my radar?
Yeah. Apparently, it's quite similar to the way Borderlands works. You can drop in, drop out, and it's just it's just more or less a zombie game where you're stuck on an island where you get XP from killing zombies and you level up that way. So.
Okay.
But it's like a cooperative game more so than a single player experience.
So maybe they're taking a few cues from Left 4 Dead.
I think so, because I've seen a few trailers and I see that they've stolen little things from like Dead Rising, where you can modify your weapons. And
I'm not entirely sure that's a good thing, man. Stealing stuff from Dead Rising. That game is busted.
Yeah, it is busted. But this just looks, to be fair, quite good.
Okay.
I'm looking for that one.
Oh, I'm gonna have to keep it on my radar.
Definitely.
So I think that's probably wrapped me up for games, man. Is there anything else you've been playing?
No, not that I can think of.
Apart from the old staples.
Hang on. Oh no, my phone's going off. Doesn't matter.
Okay. So, films?
Films? I haven't seen many films lately, but I'm sure you've seen more films than I have.
Dude, I tell you what. Just following from our last podcast, I did physically see the human centipede in a shop.
Right.
I did this strange sort of cry, like no, and dived and rolled out of the shop. The security guy looked at me like I was a fucking lunatic. But I said to him, centipede.
Did you? So I take it you didn't buy it then?
I didn't buy it. No, I don't. I might see it at some point, but I don't know if I'm ready.
You're missing out, mate.
I don't know if I'm ready for that, man. I don't know.
Missing out, definitely.
I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Because of course they've banned the second one in this country, so we won't be watching that one either.
Well, the internet says hi. Dude, if you want to watch a fucking film where someone sandpapers their dick...
No, I don't really, mate, honestly. I did think it was a bit sick, the first one, but I've read why the second one's been banned, and I can see why it's bad.
Well, they've kind of made it all postmodern. Do you know what I mean? Like the guy in the second one has watched the first one and wants to recreate the film, so
right.
It's kind of like pulling the camera back, sort of thing. And he's got a punch on for putting barbed wire around his cock, so that's not going to end well.
Sick little man.
There's no way, no fashion, shape or form in which that is going to end anything apart from badly.
No.
I haven't even got any. My knitting needles. I'm not even equipped to fucking do anything centipede-like, human centipede-like. But if we just move away from the notion of feeding them for a second.
You must feed them.
What else have you seen?
Recently, probably the last good film I watched about 2 weeks ago was Wreck, or REC.
Yep, Wreck is good, man.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. It's a good zombie flick, that was.
It's Spanish, isn't it? It's Spanish, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Spanished.
It's banished.
Spanish subtitle, that's what
Our European listeners, who don't exist, are going to be fucking very insulted by that.
Spanished. Yeah, it's one of those films that make you jump every 5 minutes kind of things. Like,
I was quite impressed, actually. I was quite impressed by that. The original premise of a girl, a nighttime sort of expose show going to a fire station, and just because, there's this glamour attached to firemen, but being a fireman's fucking boring. Like, there's a couple of moments where you see fucking babies cooked in their cots and shit, which is not good.
No.
And they have psychological counsellors on hand as standards. But for the most part, you're just knocking around watching TV and shit. Like,
Playing pool.
yeah, I mean, I know a couple of firemen, and that seems to be the way it goes down. So the way that they set it up is really cool, because it's kind of like she's trying to get a story. She's like, let's do something. Let's find something. Let's get it on.
Yeah.
And then it ends up being got on in the worst possible way she could imagine.
Yeah, it was. There's a few standout moments in that where it made me think, oh, I know it's coming. Something's going to make me jump, and sure enough, it did. Like, especially when that fireman fell down the stairs, or
mate.
down.
You say fell.
Well, he gets thrown, doesn't he? It's just one of those like, shit. What the hell was that?
So just to outline a basic premise, there's a girl presenter from a midnight, an ex-Base show, entertainment show, being with a cameraman. They're following around firemen, and nothing much is happening. But then they get called to this building because something's gone down. And then when they get in, the building's locked down from the outside, and they can't get out anymore. And that's when you get your haunted house element involved. And fucking, we need to talk about zombie grannies, like
the night was it
best zombie granny since Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead, that's the one.
Do you remember that fucking zombie granny? She's hitting her head. They lock her downstairs. She's headbutting the bottom of the door up, and she's going, "Dead by dawn, dead by dawn, dead by dawn." Yeah. So aside from that Evil Dead 2 granny, this has got to be the best zombie granny in the history of fucking cinema.
She does, mate. And she doesn't seem to want to die either.
No, just keep shooting her. See what happens. Not much. Not much. And like you said, there is that fucking amazing scene. Spoilers on for people who haven't seen it, but there's just having some really heated conversation, and just some fireman just falls down the middle of the stairwell and explodes on the floor.
Wicked. But that zombie at the end, that's gruesome, man. I thought that was really good, like special effects.
Oh, for sure, man. So
oh man, it was wicked.
Once again, spoilers, but we get to the end of the film. Most of the cast at that point have been bitten and infected and turned into zombies, and we get to the attic. What is it? The attic?
The attic of some. No, it was the penthouse of this strange guy's apartment, wasn't it?
And they get in there to hide. Well, that one girl does, and she starts looking around and seeing stuff on a wall which I could only class as suspicious, like Christian
like
Bible clippings. Like it's like exorcism doesn't work. 4 priests die. It's like, okay, this probably is not the greatest place in the house to be. And then you hear something like, and she is in trouble.
Yeah, because this zombie has a hammer, man. It has a hammer. How many zombies have you ever seen with a hammer? You don't get that in Left 4 Dead.
No, I'm just actually thinking now. Zombies with a hammer.
No, I can't think of any.
No, you got me, man. You got me on that.
I thought that was quite a cool touch.
And it ends there, doesn't it? With her getting dragged across the floor. And
I've got the second one to watch tonight. I might watch that later on.
My friend gave me the second one. I left it somewhere. I left it in a pub.
Ah, you're joking.
Yeah. So, but he told me that it's actually a lot better than the first one, which, considering the first one's a really good film, is quite.
So on the next podcast, I'll let you in on that one then.
Yeah, you can tell me what happens, man. Well, I might not want any spoilers, but you can hit me.
No spoilers. Yeah.
You can hit me up with a scene or two.
Yeah, of course. So you said you went to the cinema not so long ago. What did you go and watch there, mate?
I watched a film called Hannah, which have you heard of Hannah?
Never heard of it, mate. Never.
Do you ever see that film Leon, French one?
Yes, the car chases.
5 or 6 years ago with the little girl, Natalie Portman.
Am I thinking of a different film? I think I know what you mean.
Thinking of the car chases?
There's loads of car chases now.
Well, not too many. The bulk of that film is about this French man who starts looking after this girl whose parents have fucked up and abandoned her, and she's like 14 years old. She's played by Natalie Portman, like, who is 14 at the time, and the guy teaches Natalie Portman to be an assassin.
Right.
So that's what Leon is about. And
I think
Hannah,
I have seen it.
Yeah, Hannah is something similar. Like the way it starts out is quite interesting because she's in sort of the Antarctic, and she's hunting like a deer, like a reindeer, a wild deer,
Yeah.
And she kills it, and she gets attacked from behind by some man. He starts battering her, and she's fighting back and all that kind of stuff. And I think he kind of gets the better of her.
Yeah.
And he kind of says to her, look, no man will ever let you do what you need to do. The man will always impress himself upon you.
Yeah.
And she goes, okay, Papa. And I was like, what?
Hey?
This guy who just battered the shit out of this little kid is her dad?
What?
And it turns out that Eric Bana, who plays the dad, is some strange fucking wolf man, like some ex-CIA agent who's been banned from the CIA, and he's got this girl, and at that point in time, it's for unknown reasons, and he's kind of training her to be like a fucking super ninja.
Cool.
So she's kind of like a girl version of Jason Bourne.
Ace.
Like, except that, you know, in the way that Jason Bourne wants to find out who he
is, yeah.
she wants to find out, like, actually, like, who she is, who her personality is.
Yeah.
And she keeps bugging her dad, and, you know, by night he's reading her encyclopedia entries, and by day he's teaching her fucking martial arts.
Cool.
So she's like super fucking hot, like, in terms of knowledge and combat and shit, but
yeah.
she doesn't know anything about life. Do you know what I mean? So she keeps bugging him, and finally he lets her go. Like, she sets off a transponder because there's people looking for her, and the reason they're in Antarctica is because they're hiding.
Right.
And she sets off a transponder because he says to her, if you want to go, set that off. And she sets it off, and that lets the CIA know where she... At that point, Eric Bana just fucks off. He's just like, I'll see you later. Like, and he just puts on his wolf coat, his bear coat, and he just leaves. And she's there in the house, and the house gets surrounded by CIA, like, special agents and shit, and she just kills all of them.
Yeah.
And eventually, like, she gets captured, like, after a little while, and they take her back to some interrogation room. And yeah, I'm not going to give you any further plot points.
No,
on that, but
I watched that. Sounds good.
It's very funny. And what ends up happening is she ends up getting on the road, as it were, like, on the run.
Yeah.
And she kind of meets up with this caravan family and spends a lot of time with them. And the daughter that she's, you know, she forms a relationship, a bond,
yeah,
with the daughter there, who's a similar age to her, but the daughter's like a little tart. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And the daughter keeps coming out with these amazing like phrases, and she, you know, she looks at Hannah and she goes, you know what? She goes, I think you're probably a lesbian, right? She goes, do you know what? I wouldn't mind being a lesbian myself. But I'd have to marry a boy. I'd have to marry a boy at some point.
What?
And yeah, she keeps coming out with this really, really silly
crazy shit.
Yeah, she's like a proper pikey.
Cool.
And the family
sounds like a cool film.
Yeah, the family are like liberal hippies. And there's one particular sequence in the film. There's one particular shot where the camera follows Eric Bana for 8 minutes, and sort of for the last 2 minutes, he gets caught by all the CIA people who are tailing him in this underground station, and he just messes them all
Smashes them up.
He just messes them up. But it's an 8-minute tracking sequence, and I always love that shit. Do you know what I mean? Where someone just gets a camera on their shoulder and just follows this dude around for ages.
And it's called Hannah.
It's called Hannah, yeah. It's the
I'll
soundtrack's by the Chemical Brothers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a good film, man. I recommend it.
I'll look out for that when it comes out on DVD, mate. Definitely.
But I haven't seen too much else, man.
No, I haven't either, to be honest with you. But no, I haven't. I'll tell you what film I will be watching soon is True Grit.
True Grit is good. I've seen True Grit. I'm a fan of both Matt Damon and
what's his name?
I want to call him fucking Lebowski. Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges, that's it.
Jeff Bridges,
yeah.
He's fucking cool. I like those guys. It's
I'll
a good
be watching
film,
that as well this week too.
Although the best performance, arguably, is put in by the girl.
Oh, I heard about that too.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's a brilliant actress, like.
She's super fucking hot, man.
Cool.
In an acting way, I mean, I'm not suggesting that if, like,
no, no.
like sexy and shit. She doesn't have a body or whatever, but.
Cool.
All right, guy. I reckon we call it a day there. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too, mate. Yeah.
All right. Good talking to you, man. We'll catch up next week.
Nice to talk to you too, mate. I'll speak to you again.
All right. Take care.
And you, mate. Take care.